Cord here. Thank you all for tuning in tonight for this the first in this new series of Friday night Zoom sessions. And for those of you, I know that there's a few people who were not able to attend this live thing. So thanks for signing up, whether you're in the session or seeing this later. Um, I'm going to sort of explain what it is, my thinking real quick, as far as the song choices for this new season. And if you were here the last quote, last sessions, the last season, which is November through March ish, it was all focused on navigating the fretboard, learning all of our 145s, all of our majors, minors, and sevenths in the five major keys C, A, G, E, D, which is where we get the caged system from. And if you haven't, if you didn't take those sessions, you can find the videos over at playcountryblues.com. I did a series based on that as well. So, but point being that that was kind of birthed out of me wanting to simply just understand the fretboard better than I did. I mean, I'm working on stuff just as you guys are working on stuff, and when I figure something out or I learn something, that's, the basis for what I'm going to be teaching. And I had spent 25 years playing this style of music without understanding what was going on theoretically whatsoever. So I just would listen to the original recordings. I would find out what the key was, and then I would just play along as best I could. And I got better and better and better and better at that over 25 years. And then about a handful of years ago, I was like, man, it would sure be nice to actually know what was actually happening. Like, why does it work the way it works? Why does this music sound the way it sounds, work the way it works? And that was what the last season and session was all about, was just understanding the fretboard in country blues. So then I had a thought a couple months ago, because I was, anytime we learn something new, it's good to think about, okay, what did I just learn? What did I just put myself through? And the thought I had was, now that I understand, quote unquote, is the fretboard, as best in my abilities that I can right now, which at the base level is knowing all of my majors, minor, and sevenths, no matter what key I'm in. So then I was thinking, well, if that's true, if I know all of that information, then theoretically, I should be able to learn any song as long as I know what the key is in this style specifically. And so I was like, is that true? Can I prove that? Is that a provable thing? So I started going through songs that I knew, that I've listened to for years and years and years, but I've never learned, which Kokomo Blues by Scrapper Blackwell is one of them. Never learned it. I've listened to it hundreds, if not thousands of times, never learned it. And I knew that it was in D position, although the original recording, capo at the third fret, and that's puts you in the key that you need to be in, but the position was D. So knowing that, I was like, okay, if I know it's in D, well, I know where all my major and sevenths and minors of my D chord are, and I know I need my DGA, it's my 145. So I should be able to learn this song no problem. And that was the test for all of these songs going through in this new season. Can you do that? Can you take your knowledge based on the last season's work, and can you apply it now in songs? And the answer is yes, because I was able to do it. And that's the whole basis of this new season, is hopefully not just giving you guys songs, because these are all great songs, but showing you, these are cool songs. There's things in here that I think that are going to be just really fun for you guys to play, no matter what level you're at. But more importantly, I'm still driving in and reinforcing the idea that if you know the fretboard at a basic level, again, your major, minors, and sevenths, your 1, 4, 5s, as long as you know what key the song is in, you should be able to figure it out. And that goes true for open tunings as well. So that's my mindset of these sessions. So it's not just the songs. It's understanding what's happening, what's going on. And I know that's a long ramble, but if you know me, you know I like to talk. But again, if you want to play along with the original recording, you're just going to capo at the 3rd fret and everything's going to work the same. However, I'm just going to lose the capo for this particular purpose, and we're just going to walk through it, and I'm going to point out some things along the way that make the song what it is, and also what you can do with it, what's so fun about it, and all of those great things. For me, again, we're in the key of D right now. So that means we've got a D chord, we've got a G chord, and we've got an A chord. That's what we need. And we're going to be doing variations of these, but again, that's where you start out with any of these songs, is you find the key and then you go from there. And we've got an intro that I think is one of the funnest things in the world to do, and it's going to go. That in and of itself is almost 80% of the information we need for the entire song. And all we're doing, I'm just going to play through it slowly. Just going first, second, back to our root. Then open E into an A. So it's and that's just an A7, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now this right here, again, is so much fun. We're going to go slide up to the 4th fret, 3rd fret, open E. These sequence of notes that we're going to be playing here, are others having difficulty hearing the guitar? Oh, you know what? For some reason, all right, I just turned it back on. For the Zoom, for some reason, Zoom, that's better. I don't know why it does this. For some reason, like they have this setting that's original sound for musicians that I'm looking at right now, and I click it on, but for some reason it disengages every now and again. So if that happens again, just say the same thing, because for whatever reason, I don't know, it goes on and off. I have no reason why that. What I'm recording on is not affected by any of that. So it will be, you won't have that issue there. So, intro. These, again, I'm going to kind of try to relay this back to what we talked about is what I'm looking for when I'm playing these notes is, yes, if I take my D minor chord and I just play those sequence of notes with open strings, I basically, again, have the information that I need. But what I'm really thinking of is what I like to refer to, again, is what's in my hand? What am I holding right now? And what is in and around that chord shape that I'm holding? And that's where all the notes are going to be. Is in and around this chord. I'm not holding that chord shape for all of those notes. However, all of the notes that I need are in and around this chord shape that I'm holding. A7, slide up. That last part, again, first, second, root. Then we're going to go to that second fret on that second string, open E, back to root. And that fifth string is over that whole thing. That's just the intro. Now, when I was learning this song, that took me a couple days to actually just kind of like get playing smoothly. Like I just was working on just that, 10 seconds, if that, of music. So again, when I'm learning songs, I'm not trying to play the whole thing through the first time I'm working on it. And again, like I said, and these are songs that I've listened to over and over again, but I'm not in a practice session in a given day that I'm working on something. That sequence, that intro was it. Like that was my entire session for the one day that I was working on, was just playing just that. That's the intro. Now, what we're going to sing over is not this D major chord. What we're going to do is if we slide everything up to our landing on the 6th fret, so 5th and 6th fret, that whole D chord, we're going to grab a bass here in a second. But that now becomes, in this context, if we were not playing in the key of D or whatever, this is an F chord. However, in this context, just these strings, that's a D minor. So that's what we're going to sing over. So we're going to go, hey, baby, don't you want to go? And our thumb finger pattern is going to be a pinch. I want my 6th string. Interesting thing about the note that we're finding on with our thumb, and you don't have to, if you don't want to do your thumb over the bass like this, I'm going to give you another option, but you can hear it in the original recording, is he's not on that A, and he's not flat either. It's like right in the middle, and it's just a thud. The picking pattern, what we're going to do with this particular hand position, is going to be pinching, up, thumb, pinch, up, thumb, pinch, up, thumb. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Now, if you can't get your thumb over the bass like that, that's fine. Just use that A string. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. One thing, depending on where you are level-wise, skill level, another really nice thing you can do here is this drag. So that's a pinch, drag, thumb, pinch, drag, thumb, pinch, drag, thumb. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's going to serve for our one chord, what we're going to sing over for every single verse. Well, baby, don't you want to go? We're going to go back to our D, which is going to set us up for our first lick. Which is, again, I sent out tab with this, and all of the fills are in the tab because this is a 6-verse song, 3 lines to the verse. There are 2 fills, well, 3 really, but there's 2 main riffs fills for every single verse, and they're all different. So you've got 12 different licks and fills that you're going to have for this particular song. Now, does that mean that you're going to learn every single one of them? I don't know. I know that after I did learn all of them, there was like 3 of them that I really liked, that really stuck out to me, and my hand just really enjoyed doing. And I'll speak a little bit more about that at the end here, but just the sequence of it is intro, red, baby, don't you wanna go? Into our G. Again, I'm going to just walk through this very slowly because all we're doing, again, I want to just really drive this home, is that all we're doing is, again, riffing off of those notes. There's not a bad one in the bunch. You can make up anything you want to do, which again is the whole point of learning this language that we're learning right now, is just knowing what the move is, what the notes are in and around the chord shape, because then that's going to give me the freedom to be able to play whatever I want. So our G7 is simply going to be 6, 5, 4. Everything else is open. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And 1. I'm doing all that with my thumb, which is going to bring us back to the D. So starting from the baby, don't you want to go? That pack your eggs. Now this part is so cool. Following the vocal melody line. Kokomo. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you 2 different versions of this. We're going to have the first, third, open on that first and third, fourth, second at the 3rd fret, open on that 4th and 2nd, back to our D. And what I'm doing is I'm flatting that 3rd string to Kokomo. So the timing on that is, baby, don't you wanna go? Pack your little suitcase. Let's go down to Kokomo. After the last line of the verse, we're always going back to this. This double stop happen there. It can happen there as well on the 4th string and the 2nd string. So that's 7, 6, 5, 3, open, back home to D. And that is an entire verse. Well, baby, don't you wanna go? Baby, don't you wanna go? Pack your little suitcase, let's go down to Kokomo. Back up to the top. Baby, where's Maddie now? And now what we're gonna do, instead of just, again, this is the whole point of this isn't to watch me play. The point is to give you an idea here that we're learning a blues in D, right? So again, attaching it to the whole cage system idea is we're playing different Ds. We're playing D in different spots. We've got our lick down here, and we're playing our D minor up here, but we also have a D out of our C position here. So we're playing licks in and around this D, and this D minor. That's, for this particular song, this is as far as we go. We don't, as I'm thinking about it, we're not moving past the 6th fret in this particular song, right? But that doesn't mean that there isn't a whole bunch of stuff going on in this song. There's a tremendous amount going on in this song. Just over that root note, that D, again, all of these little licks that exist because of the chord shapes themselves. Now, one thing that people point out quite frequently, again, depending on what you've learned and how you've learned it, is am I playing minor pentatonic? Am I playing major pentatonic? Am I mixing both of them? And my answer to that is I have no idea. I don't know. I have no clue because I never learned my scales. So I have my frame of reference is not scales. Now, that is not a put down to scales. That's just not how I learned. I learned by again, I just learned from the recording. So I just learned like, okay, well, I just learned that was a Scrapper Blackwell move. That, you know, and we all have that. Like, I learned that I learned that was a Lightning Hopkins lick. I didn't know until much later that what that was is I was going from this E7 to that E, right? Like, I didn't know what any of that stuff was. And again, the one thing that I like to point out is that just because you don't know stuff doesn't mean anything. Like, you can play the most complex pieces and not know anything about why it's working the way it's working. And on the other hand, you can know all of your scales and you can know all of the information and you may not be able to play anything, right? So like the thing that I like, I'm going to kind of reference and to this particular, especially these sessions in this season of Zoom workshops, is the whole catalyst again about this was, if I know my 1-4-5s in the major in all the keys that I need to know, then I should be able to learn any song I want to learn. And if I can't, then what was the point of me learning what I learned? And that was the question I was asking myself, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't have as much time as I used to in my, younger days. And if I'm learning something and it doesn't get me to be able to do something with it, then it's like, what a massive waste of time. Like, I don't need, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Like, I don't need to learn another thing that doesn't help me do anything. And that is a trap that, unfortunately, a lot of we all fall into, and it's not YouTube's fault because that problem existed before YouTube. I mean, we've all done that from, whether it was a book or whatever it was. It was not necessarily YouTube. Now, YouTube and Instagram and all those things has certainly made it worse because there's just thousands of things just at our eyes all the time. But one thing that I've had to do for myself to just kind of like, like to kind of shield gate myself from all of that a little bit is to stop myself after I've learned something and go, okay, what did I just learn? If it's a song or if it's a lick or if it's something that's more theory based, and I go, what did I just learn? Okay, now what does that enable me to do? Like, what can I do with what I just learned? And if it's a song, it better be that I can play the song. Because if I can't play the song, then what a waste of time. I just walked through the song that I can't even play. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to play the song right away. It might take you months or something. I mean, for me, I've been working on some songs for 15 years, believe it or not. But in this song, what I walked away with was all of these little licks in D based off of this chord shape, the minor chord shape or the major chord shape or up here, which makes me go, okay, anytime I'm in the key of D, I mean, yes, I can move this to any other key and use it. However, if I want to make use of these open strings the way that I am, I do need to be in this key. But anytime I'm in playing a D blues now, I've got licks out of this, just conveniently out of this chord shape, which is one of the benefits of learning a song like this, is now I can just use any of those licks anywhere I want to. And I have the song, which is, if let's say you can't do the licks. You might be like, man, that's really cool, but I can't play those licks now. What do I do? You don't have to play the licks. You can go 1, 2, 3. Baby, don't you wanna go back to D? To our G. Go. Baby, don't you wanna go back to D? To our A. Then you don't have to play all of the licks in the riffs, and you can play simple ones. You don't have to go super complex either. You can scale it down. You can go, baby, don't you wanna go? Baby, don't you wanna go? That little pack my suitcase down to Kokomo. All of that is fair game. You're still playing the song, even if you're not playing all of the fancy licks, which I'm going to show you a handful more because there's 12 of them. But before we get into any of that, I suppose, is there any questions or concerns or anything that just doesn't make quite sense to the group here. If anybody has anything they want to say, you can raise a hand, or I will just keep on a talking. All right. As I said, the song itself is just based out of those chords. So like what we're going to be singing over, even whether you sing or don't sing, doesn't really matter. The chords themselves don't change. The only thing that's changing is the licks and the riffs that we're going to be using, but we're always going back to the chord changes. Where did you stay last night? Now this second verse gets that lick. So now we're just riffing off of, and we're going all the way up. G. What's the matter now? Back. To our A7. So. And it sounds as I'm playing it, I'm like, good Lord, does that sound like a lot is going on? And when in reality, again, we're just playing off of that little riff. Baby, don't you wanna go? Baby, don't you wanna go? Pack your little suitcase and down to Kokomo. To me, again, the importance of this for me, again, beyond just what did I just learn? What did I just do? After I learned the song, after I could play it, and I was able to, spend some time with it and go, okay, man, there's a lot of fills in this particular song, and am I going to learn every single one of them? And it was kind of like, well, I'm going to do my darndest to just memorize them as best I can, and do all of that for sake of this, and for sake of just like the teaching aspect of it, and for sake of just wanting to know, okay, well, what are they? Because when I'm listening, and this is something that has become, this is something that has become more apparent to me than, I don't know, I guess than it used to. Maybe I'm thinking about it more now, and I didn't think about it before, is that these fills that he's doing, I don't think he's even thinking about what he's doing. If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think that this is a song he played. This is a song that he probably played a lot, when in different environments. And I think that he was just playing out of the shapes and just playing, going like trying to have something different every time, I think was important. It must have been because he did it. But I don't think that he was spending time thinking while he was playing like a lot of us do. And I'm trying to get away from that as more now than I ever have is trying to consciously not think while I'm playing. Um, and I've been really amazed at how much funner, and I know that's not a word, but, or I don't know, anyway, how much more fun I'm having when I'm not obsessing about like what it is I'm doing. And I'm just relying on my ability to go, I know what key I'm in. I know where I need to go as far as my chords are concerned. I know because of what I'm holding in my hand, I know what licks and riffs and notes are in and around that chord. So why don't I just play and just come up with and just do it and just have fun and play, and whatever it is what it is. And that's the thing that I a lot of that when you listen to this music, that's what a lot of it what you're hearing is people just playing the instrument. And there are mistakes. Like if you listen to this original recording, like you hear him, like there are mistakes in here. And that's not important because he's just playing the guitar. And that to me really just kind of frees up the whole thing in my mind, is not trying to just memorize all of these sequence and every single verse and what we're wanting to do, but is to have the intro. Have a verse with, baby, don't you wanna go? Baby, don't you wanna go? Like my little suitcase down to Kokomo. And just start playing. Baby, what's the matter now? Baby, what's the matter now? Is just start playing the guitar, not worrying about what I'm doing as far as what the tab says, and just playing the song, just having fun. And there's a few on here that I do want to point out as just, again, just really really cool ideas. This thing here going up to that 6th fret is, I mean, it's super modern in a country blues context. It's really, really cool to be up at the minor, which we do all the time. If you play in the key of E, you've done this. That idea, and all we're doing is just we're dropping that a whole step, and now we're just doing it in the key of D. Baby, don't you wanna go? And then we just go through the whole thing again. We got the verse 5, which if I don't have the lyrics in front of me, I can't even remember what the words are. Verse 5, where we are. Baby, what's the matter now? Yeah, that's a good one. Baby, what's the matter now? Baby, what's the matter now? I love that. The phrasing of this is really, really cool. When we're playing this D, that open, sliding into that A, is a really, really slick. Last time through is verse 6. Now, this time, I'm going to get back to that in a second. One thing that's really cool about this is not only do we get that guy there, we get that as well. Again, very modern sounding. That way we're going to end is not go. We're going to stay on that 8-7. Babe, already down to Kokomo. And then we're going to end on a D9, really. Because we want that open E. So after the down to Kokomo. And that's the entire song, which for me to show you in 45 minutes, I've been obsessively working on this song for the last 2 months, which may not sound like a long time for you, but to me, I equate that as just every day working on this song, chipping away. For me, for playing every day, the amount that I play for 2 months equates to a very long time, because here's the thing that, again, the beauty of learning the cage system for me was that it fast-tracked me unlike anything else that I can possibly think of in my guitar journey. It was almost as revolutionary to me as learning how to fingerpick for the first time, because that opened up the whole thing, right? As soon as I learned how to fingerpick, I was like, oh my gosh, look at all these songs are accessible. Doesn't mean that I could play all of them, but they were accessible. They were there. And learning the cage system has, for me, within the last year, meant that a lot of times, the songs that I'm learning now, I'm actually able to learn them in real time, which to me was revolutionary, because before understanding the cage system, I had to just work through each little section piece by piece and go, okay, here's the notes. oh, these notes, forever. If you're looking at the tab, right, which everyone just the first thing they do is they open up the tab and they look at it. Um, if this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, is when you open up the tab for the first time, which I don't think that's the right up way to go about learning doing this. I think you should listen to whatever you're listening to first, whether it's a performance, it's a video, it's a song. Listen before you look at the tab. But anyway, once you do look at the tab, you know, this is probably apparent to you guys, but it wasn't always to me that the when I'm looking at the first measure that says intro, that D chord, all of that which is happening in that first measure is that D chord is makes up that whole thing. All of those notes, all of that hinges on that D chord. And that was something that, like, again, may be obvious because you're like, well, yeah, there's the D chord there. Why would whatever? But for but for me, the whole the all when you have whatever the measure is, whatever the chord is on top of it, that dictates everything in that measure. That doesn't necessarily mean you're holding that chord shape, but that is the home base, that is the framework for that whole section. And that to me, again, because what I would have to do is before I understood the cage system and understood what was going on, I would have to, like, you know, I would be playing these notes, but my brain was not processing. Oh, all I'm doing is walking into my D chord. That's all I'm doing. I'm just walking into my D chord. And what we learn things the way we learn things, and why we learn things the way we do, I don't know. But as soon as I learned how to the whole cage system thing, and my brain started seeing everything in chord shapes, all of my licks, all of the licks that I'm doing, everything that's happening here, even though those are individual notes, my brain is clocking chord shapes in every single one of those moves. And that understanding, which I am applying to this particular song, that understanding, knowing that, meant that a lot of times I can listen to a song that I have not learned before. I can find out what key it's in, and then once I understand what position I'm in, because a song can be in a key but not played, in that position. Like, if the song's in G, am I playing my first position G there? Am I capoed and I'm playing out of E position? Like, those things take some time to figure out. And a lot of times nowadays, it's nice if you're ever scratching, going like, I don't know what it is, you can just Google it. That's the beautiful thing about the internet nowadays. But once I find out what it is, through whatever measure I need to find out, then as I'm listening, because I know I'm playing out of chord shapes, because that's what country blues is. Country blues is chord shapes. That is all it is. I can learn these songs for the most part in real time, as opposed to like, oh, what am I doing? Okay, what's this little lick? And having it be so void of the chord shape that I'm using. So again, we got our D, we've got our G, we've got our A7, and we've got our D. And now we just have a ton of licks based out of D, first position there, C position, which I would never, I wouldn't say never, 95% never would do this. However, in country blues, you see it like this all the time. But if I know my C stuff here, if I know I'm going to have a C chord here, I know my C licks are right there because my C chord those are my C licks. So if I'm up in D, all of those licks are just, again, they're just built into the chord shape that I'm holding. So with this particular song, yes, there's certain fills we're using because that's what he recorded. However, now for me, what I can do is I can take the information of the chord shapes that I know, my D, my C, and my minor, and I can do whatever the heck I want to do. And I know that, again, with a tab, you got all of the ones that are recorded. But what I would encourage you to do is begin to start seeing your D there, your D there, and your D there. And start playing out of those chord shapes. Baby, don't you wanna go? Baby, don't you wanna go? Little place down to Kokomo. Well, baby, what's the matter now? What's the matter now? You don't know how. Had a falling out last night. Well, me and my baby had a falling out last night. 'Cause she ain't doing it. Well, tell me, honey, what's the matter now? Baby, what's the matter now? Well, I tell you, baby, but you don't know how. There it is. And to me, again, I'm going to wrap it up here. When it was all said and done, because I wanted to learn Kokomo Blues, like I wanted to learn the song that I heard, and as I was working through it, I quickly began to realize that, okay, yes, I'm going to learn the fills because they're there, and I want to, mainly because we're doing the teaching thing, and I wanted to make sure that I had them. But after it was all said and done, after I learned all of them, and you're going to be able to too, if you really want to learn the fills, again, the tab is there. There's nothing there that's not accessible to you guys. It's all there. Once you see the chord shapes and you're like, oh, it's just these notes, and you put it all together. It's pretty simple. Again, it doesn't make it easy, but it's simple. The thing that I walked away with which is why I keep coming back to these songs and playing this music, is because what I walked away with was a language that I could speak now. I have I have a Scrapper Blackwell language that I can now speak in the key of D. And that doesn't mean that I'm trying to parrot Scrapper Blackwell. Like I'm not going out and, doing a tribute to Scrapper Blackwell in any sort of way. But the point meaning is that all of the songs that you learn out of this genre, or any song in general, like you're learning how to speak the language of that person who's playing the song. And then as I left and I was like, okay, now that I know it, now I know how to speak the language. Now all I have to do is just speak the language in any way that I want to. I can use any of the licks any way I want to. I can use any of the sequences any way I want to. And as long as I'm keeping the chord changes the way they are, I'm playing that D minor, I'm playing that G7, I'm playing that A7, but the fills and the licks are just like that's the language that now I can speak. And as you learn this song, however you learn it, that's what you're really pulling. And then the benefit of that is manifested in either other songs that you're playing in the key of D. These licks will work. Or if you're playing with somebody else and they're like, hey, this song's in the key of D, and you're like, nice, because I can play I can use these licks in any other genre that I want to. Now, are you going to be able to play them exactly like you did when you played the Scrapper Blackwell song? No, you're going to have to, what I say, retrofit these licks into whatever else you're doing. That has to happen. Like you might not be able to play everything exactly the same, but if your buddy is playing a song in the key of D, you can go, I'm going to try to use these licks and I'm going to try to fit them into what you're doing. And for me, I play less and less with other people as I get older, and I'm sure maybe the same is true for a lot of you. It's just mainly me playing just with myself, my guitar, whatever. And this piece is a very, very satisfying piece to play by yourself, just because these little licks, how everything just like feeds into each other, is a very satisfying. It's super lyrical. All of those little phrasings are very lyrical. Use them however you want to use them. Again, you're going to have the tab. I'm going to, included with this video, I took the tab that you have, and if you don't have it, you'll have it because you'll have it with this video, is taken from, I did teach a lesson on this, and so there's a slow split screen of it, and I'm going to send that along as well, so you'll have that if you want to reference that. If you don't want to watch this video again, you can just watch watch the slow version, the split screen, and then you have the tab. And again, if you want to play with the original recording, which I highly recommend, this is going to be my last rant, and then I'm going to let you guys go. So I was doing a Zoom, I was doing a lesson with somebody the other day, and I asked, and I didn't even, I don't think about this a lot, but I did as he was talking, and I asked him, I said, how much time do you spend playing along with the original artists of the songs that you know? And he goes, never. And I said, wow, that's really interesting, because for me, I play along with the original artists all the time. I mean, hours and hours and hours a week, So knowing this song, yes, I play it by myself, but I have so much more fun when I'm playing along with Scrapper Blackwell. And I do that with all the songs that I know. I mean, you obviously can't do that on stage, right? On stage, if you're performing, you're doing it by yourself. But one of the benefits of playing by yourself and having access to the recordings is being able to play with that artist. And I liken it to, like, back when you were, if you were an electric guitar player and you were just playing electric guitar, you were always playing with some band that you were listening to. You were playing along with whoever your favorite band was. You were just jamming along with them. This is the same thing. Is you can capo at the third fret, play along with Scrapper Blackwell. And I recommend that for all in any of the songs, because the reason that I know that has benefited me so much is the more I do that, the more I hear them do things that I didn't hear before. As I continually play along and play, I'm like, oh, I didn't hear that he did that before. Now let me try that. And then it just makes it a whole new experience every time. And what also begins to happen is you start to pick up on how they're playing what they're playing, and their timing, their tone, their touch. I mean, you start to pick up on those things, like just little minor things. You start to do because you're hearing it, and you just start to mimic it. And all of that stuff just makes the experience, to me, just way more fun, and a way richer experience than just playing by myself, and and that's it. And so if you're not playing along with the original recordings, I really highly recommend that you do it because it's fun. And that's it. So that's going to wrap it up for this session. I know there was a lot of rambling on my end. I do apologize, but that is what it is. And next month, I want to say, if I'm from my memory, which is not as what it once was, is I believe it's a Big Bill Brunzi tune, Saturday Night Rub, which again is another one of those songs that I never learned. I've heard it for years and years and years, thousands of times. I've seen everybody else do it. I've never learned it. And I was like, well, let me find out what key it's in. That's going to tell me what position it's in. And then I know what my chords are. So let's see if I can figure it out. And that was one, again, that just, like, I was listening it and I learned it as I was playing it in real time. And again, the beauty of the cage system and all of that business. So if there's no questions, you guys have been troopers. Thanks for listening to me. Anyone have any final thoughts, comments, other than you're all looking well and good, and it's good to see you all. And I am going to stop the session. I'm going to send you all this video, the tab, and that other slow split screen video. You'll have it. As long as you can download all of it. If you save the link, you'll have access to it forever. For whatever reason, if you lose the link, just email me and I will send it to you again, because they do last forever. And until I see you guys again, have a good weekend. Be safe out there and take care. All right. See you guys.